This is the one that got us off to talking about this. This is the one that got us kicked off here, guys, and got Rollo and I talking about it because we both were kind of looking at the same article.
Oh, I triggered YouTube with that, by the way. Yeah. I put Holocaust in my title of my show yesterday.
So this same woman wrote 2 articles. Moira Donegan, obviously, it's her grift. Right, you know, just like there's a manosphere, there's I guess a femisphere. I don't know what you call it, but there's a misogyny sphere, I guess. You know, this is your grift. Everything is misogyny, right? She had the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial was an orgy of misogyny. Also, there was another article which called it the Holocaust, I believe.
The Holocaust for Me Too is what it was.
The Holocaust for Me Too. So talking about extreme language, this woman right here, and obviously framing it as a tipping point in the battle for Me Too. Right. And let me just point out too, this is not just Moira. It's not just one article. There's other articles. I sent a couple to Rollo, but this has been all weekend. This has been nonstop.
I did. I used this one yesterday as well. Well, actually, both of these.
the Me Too backlash is here. This is from Vox. All the V periodicals are horrible. Vox, Vice, and Vogue. And here, of course, you got this one from Mel, which is the anti-feminist energy fueling the Johnny Depp misinformation campaign. So they're calling it a misinformation campaign. And it's very interesting because you're going to find this interesting, Rollo, because I know you have an idea of what is the manosphere, but they're throwing a lot of people into the manosphere that aren't necessarily in the manosphere. Let me zoom in here real quick. But apparently a lot of you guys have heard of my fellow co-streamer, a LawTuber, Nick Ricada, who I stream with a lot. He's apparently now a misogynist and part of the manosphere. And also, you see Carl Benjamin, he's in there, Roger Stone, Tim Pool, and Chrissy Mayer.
Tim Pool, Tim Pool is most definitely not part of the manosphere. Yeah, Let's make that clear right now.
All of these guys are in the manosphere. They're right wing. They're misogynists. I mean, it's to me, it's laughable. But I guess where we can start on this, which is interesting to me, Rollo, is because here's the thing: the majority of people watching this are women. The majority of people tuning into this are women. So this has got to be a small percentage. It's just so weird, this scenario, Rollo, which is why I wanted to kind of talk it through with you.
I mean, it's narrative management. It's essentially what it is. It's agitating propaganda is what it is.
Right.
I mentioned this earlier when the Supreme Court draft opinion for overturning Roe v. Wade became a big deal back in the beginning of May. And I mentioned this on Fresh and Fit as well. Is that this is the year of the woman. And you'll notice that quote unquote leak happened like it's almost 6 months to the day before the November elections. How do you get the ladies out to vote? While you throw out fears of overturning Roe v. Wade, you give them the carrot that pulls the cart, that is forgiveness of student debt, which of course 2/3 of that is owned by women. And then now this, you want to know why they're so let's just say agitated, or the narrative is so intense, let's just say, is because it focuses on women's issues at this point. And so that's what gets women. I mean, women are the largest voting bloc in the United States. Women decide elections at this point.
But this didn't work. But Rollo, here's the weird thing about it. I totally agree with you. Everything you said is just a fact, right? Women are the largest voting bloc. The political parties try to motivate women on both sides, by the way, conservatives and liberals. Yes. They weaponize women, right? For both sides, right? For both sides of the issue. This is not a left or right issue.
No,
they both have their own way of weaponizing gender, right? However, on this specific issue, it seems like, okay, yes, they were trying to move with a Me Too narrative, but the majority of people speaking out, the majority of people who are vehemently disturbed by this are women. And by the way, actual survivors of domestic violence, reach out, many of whom are women, reach out and say, we're deeply disturbed by this. So it just seems like it maybe was an attempt to pander to women, an attempt to get women to side with Amber Heard, but it seems like an abject failure. And is that just because Johnny Depp is so alpha? Is that just because he's such a...
Well, that's another thing. Is everybody wants to say Johnny is messed up person too. Let's just be honest. I mean, at what point, like when when you see a turd on the bed, okay, like I don't care like how codependent you are on the relationship. I don't care like how, whatever your psychological back and forth is, where you're locked into that relationship. At the point where you see that you pile on the bed right there. I don't know if I can curse on your
you can whatever you say whatever the fuck you want
on the bed. It's like, at what point do you go, you know what? No, that's okay. That doesn't go beyond, right? That's not the threshold. The threshold is, I don't know, killing children or something like that. It's not. At what level do you go, maybe I should get out of this? And I'm once that happens, it's like, at what point is there any more conversation after that? And so when I'm listening to this and I'm seeing, I know that didn't he win? She won the case in the UK, right? Wasn't that
no? Let me be very clear about this, because this is a common misperception, because the mainstream media is pushing that. No, it's fair, very fair. And frankly, I'll be clear, Rollo, you haven't been grifting on this for the last month like you should have been. Shame on you.
Yeah,
shame on you for not grifting on this.
For being burned out on it since 2014. So.
but here's the point. The lawsuit in the UK was against The Sun. That's a British periodical. She testified at it because her testimony is key to whether or not that was true. But it wasn't against her. So she had no dog in that fight individually. Until this trial, she wasn't personally on the line. So the UK was only against The Sun. So The Sun won that case. By the way, that was a judge, not the jury, and that judge was extraordinarily corrupt, had a bunch of connections to the Sun newspaper. They're actually petitioning to reopen that. I'm going to speak to a British attorney who's petitioning to reopen that case because of everything that was said and went down in the US. But that trial, the Sun won. So what happened out of that was that it's okay in the UK to call Johnny a wife beater. Because that was said. So Johnny said, okay, I'm going to take it to Amber personally in the United States because she's alleged sexual violence, right? Which we turned out was a Maker's Mark bottle and essentially the Trump treatment, grabbing her by the pelvic bone. Those are two separate allegations of sexual violence, as well as just domestic violence. Right? She had claimed generic domestic violence, which, by the way, under Virginia law, could be verbal. Right? We talked about forms of violence, verbal.
That qualifies. Yeah.
Yes. So in all counts, they found it was defamation against Johnny Depp, which means they didn't believe that Johnny Depp did anything at all, any form of abuse, and that it was malice on the part of Amber Heard to say that he committed abuse, which is crazy because, by the way, that'll keep her from wiping it out in bankruptcy.
I had I wish I would have saved it. I could have played it for you. I on yesterday's show, like I said, I was going through my old tweets about Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. I came across the recordings between the two of them, and I don't know if it was her it's probably her that recorded this thing, but it like really worked against her.
It was her.
It was her who was doing the recording, and so I came up with, I just took the top, the longest three that I could find, and when you listen to the dynamic between the two of them, I mean, he's really kind of she's very aggressive. You can tell there's psychological abuse going on in that relationship.
Yes.
I just putting on my amateur psychologist hat here. She most definitely suffers from borderline personality disorder, most likely narcissistic personality disorder, and most definitely histrionic personality disorder.
So did you watch the trial? Because that's literally what they diagnosed her with.
Yes, yes. Okay, I watched the parts where everybody was saying, "Did you see this, Rollo?" I guess I better. So I go on. I looked at those parts. Yeah.
Yeah, you saw Dr. Mommy, the one everyone was simping for, the Dr. Curry, who now.
Well, when they brought up the moment they brought up the term, because I've talked extensively about borderline personality disorder for a long time right now, and when that popped up and people threw that out there, that's when I started taking notice of all that. I want to also, like, as far as the domestic violence side of things, the Rolling Stone decided that they were going to throw their hat in the ring with all of this, which the Rolling Stone should never be throwing their hat in the ring when it comes to anything that has to do with domestic violence, rape, or whatever. After the UVA rape hoax, yes, let's make sure we clarify that, because it was a hoax. Sabrina Erdley, we know, again, back in 2014, and they lost that case, and they pretty much defamed the fraternity that was named in this hoax article written in Rolling Stone. And to the tune of about what $4.5 million in damages, I believe, is what the final judgment was. And so of course, they want to start talking about, oh well, it's domestic violence, and this is a blow to me too. And it's like, and I was proud of everybody because I was looking at the comments, and they're like, yeah, you got no room, you got no leg to stand on, Rolling Stone, especially after that We Still Remember. And but I will say this is that one of the things that a lot of people were saying during that time is that because this is a hoax, because of hashtag believe all women, it really hurts the actual victims of domestic violence because of that. And so that's if there's a reason why women are sort of up in arms about this, or they're taking an interest in this beyond the fact that it's kind of like, a better version of The Bachelor, or you want to see what's going to happen.
It's way more exciting, honestly.
It's very engaging. I totally understand why it's engaging for women, because it's Johnny Depp. I mean, he's a good-looking dude, or he has been in the past, anyways. And
he's still killing it.
Yeah, it's like Team Amber or Team Johnny, and it becomes a team. It's like becomes really tribalistic. And I think that when we're talking about domestic violence on either side, a gynocentric femstream media doesn't want to take the L, right? They don't want to take the loss in all of this, and so they'll try to either backpedal it so it's like a loss for both of them, or else it is. Or else it's going to be this is taking the teeth out of the weapon that has become Me Too.
Right.
So it's like, are they going to lose that, or are they going to backpedal it, and are they going to say it's they're both at fault? It's not just her; she lost, but they're both at fault.
Well, it's interesting because it's really interesting because usually you see a double down, right? Everybody doubles down, everybody doesn't back down. But in this case specifically, you've actually seen, and I have a big international audience. Normally I'm in Seoul, South Korea. And a lot of times when I stream for international time zones. So for Australia, New Zealand, UK, Europe. And a lot of people have said their country's news media has flipped, right? So some media has actually gone pro Johnny Depp. They didn't stay Amber Heard. Now, like the articles we read, there's still many outlets that are pro Amber Heard, regardless of the outcome, that doubled down. But I think because social media was covering this, was on top of this, TikTok, YouTube, everywhere was on top of this, and they were pro Johnny. I think that's kind of different than normal. We normally have the burden of society, the burden of social media is against is usually against the truth, against the facts.